Hey everybody, it's Sarah Norris
And Carrie Eink
from the Star Institute for SPD, and today we're really excited to talk to you about something that has become a passion for both of us, and that's working with teens and adults that have SPD. And it's something that Carrie and I both sort of fell into when we came to Star. It was a program that was in the beginning stages, and we were lucky enough to be able to share our ideas with the rest of the STAR staff and really spearhead this very important service that we provide now at STAR. And so what we wanted to share with those of you out there who may be looking for services as a teen or an adult, or if you're a therapist who's interested in expanding your work, or maybe you're already starting to delve into working with teens and adults, just a little bit about what we've learned along the way.
Yeah, so starting out thinking about venturing into the world of teens and adults, it was a world I hadn't treated a lot in prior to helping start this program at STAR, and it was a really overwhelming feeling at first, thinking about, wow, how do we transition into this very different phase of life? And I don't even remember who gave me the advice, but they said it's the same exact treatment models and the same exact thinking that you're using with kids, just thinking about it in older individuals. They just have different daily occupations, but you're still an occupational therapist, and you're still looking at what people want and need to do to be independent in their lives.
And I think one of the things that I likewise heard that was really helpful was thinking about how, yes, it's the same challenges grown up. So for some individuals, they have had sensory challenges their entire lives, and it's really shifted over the years. So they may have had a much different profile when they were kids, but that doesn't mean they don't still struggle, just with different things. And then the other piece that I have found really helpful to think about is that the sensory basis is still there. And that's what we can do as sensory OTs, is focus on that sensory basis. What makes it really tricky with teens and adults is that they're more mature, they have more experiences that they've been through, they've developed more concrete patterns for handling different situations, and so yes, it can be a little bit more tricky to work with them, and there can be added layers of emotions that those sensations bring up for them, or thinking processes that have been developed on those sensory processing challenges. So I think one of the things that has helped me for sure is just spending a ton of time reading about it, thinking about it, studying about it, and having conversations with other people who work with this population. And there's a growing number of people out there that have really started to consider this as an emerging area of practice. So I think what I'd like to break down is some of the things that Carrie and I did as we started to develop this program.
Yeah, and so I really like what you said about thinking about as we mature, there become many more layers onto our development and our individual differences. So thinking about emotions. As we get older, we have hormonal changes, we add more emotions, we add more language to all of this. And thinking about how do we take all of these very, very valid emotions and thoughts that these individuals are having, what is our scope of practice, and how do we develop the team around us that has the scope of practice for handling all of these different areas that may need to be addressed.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that Carrie and I both did is we just jumped in.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot that we knew about it moving into it, other than what the people that had been already working in the program had already figured out. So that was helpful that we weren't absolutely starting from scratch. But it was definitely a learn-as-you-go experience for both of us.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And like we've talked about in previous videos, the adults and teenagers that we've treated have taught us more than we could ever have imagined we'd learn from the individuals themselves. Not only has it helped us treat other adults and other teens, but it has just widened and strengthened my practice with kids. Being able to hear firsthand from these individuals what it feels like, what emotions they have alongside of these, their childhood experiences, the invalidation that comes with having a disorder that hasn't been recognized until you're in your teens or until you're in your adulthood. And so really it's, and I've really tried to tell each individual I've worked with in the adult program just how much they have actually strengthened my practice within this field, which is really incredible.
Yeah, I think that they have been the biggest teachers, and I think the families that have grown up alongside these teens and adults have so much to share as well. As well, yeah, that used to be the way she was, but as soon as she turned 13, it changed, or things like that. I think one of the things that's really important for me professionally, and that's helped me feel as comfortable as I do now working with teens and adults, is having a psychologist or multiple psychologists that can give me a lot of insight into the thought processes that can arise from having sensory processing challenges as you mature. I think finding someone, if you're an occupational therapist out there that's starting to go into this area or interested in moving into working with teens and adults, look in your community to find a psychologist that you can develop a really strong working relationship with. Obviously, if there's a therapist out there that already knows about sensory processing, great. If not, I think people that are involved in trauma or attachment have pretty strong backgrounds in understanding development and how it can be really impacted by unfortunate things. So finding someone who already has a similar mindset and educating them and working together and say, I think this is something that I'm seeing in the community. Are you seeing it? Let's work together to figure out how we can serve this population. Because Carrie and I can both attest that as you get older and you have sensory processing challenges, things get really, really complicated really fast. And it takes a team of people to figure out how to support these individuals.
Yeah, and I think one other thing I would recommend to therapists entering this world, or you're already in this world treating teenagers and adults, one thing that's been really helpful for me is finding somebody who can do reflective supervision, which means thinking about, how did this session make me feel? What did I learn from this session? What was difficult about this session? What strengthened me in this session? Really having a chance to kind of unload some of those things that you're also learning along the way, whether it's an OT, a psychologist, anybody who's in your practice that can sit down with you and you can just kind of reflect on your own practice. That's really helped me grow in all areas, but especially working with some of these more complex individuals.
Definitely. I think the only way I've survived this, because it does take an emotional and cognitive toll, working with some of these individuals, is having you, Carrie, being able to come back to the office and say, whoa, I don't know what just happened. Can you help me unpack this? Help me figure out what I did wrong or what went so well, or what can I do better next time? And it's been a tremendous source of strength and growth for me as well.
Yeah, and so kind of shifting into adults and teens, how do you go about seeking treatment? You know that there are sensory-based challenges, whether you saw it online. I think that's how a lot of the individuals are finding us, is they're looking online. We have some awesome checklists online that say, are you experiencing this, or this? There's some great books out there that individuals are reading. There's great support groups online that people are finding. And so what is the next step? I think that's a really common question we hear, both from OTs who are thinking about entering into treating teens and adults, but also from the teens and adults themselves.
So I think what I would encourage as the family member or the individual that has a sensory processing challenge and you're thinking, okay, I need to talk to somebody or I need to see someone about this, I would start with our treatment directory. There is an option to look for within your state. You can check works with adults, and you may be lucky, and there may be someone in your area that's in that directory. If not, I think we've heard from a lot of individuals that we've done consultations with that they have just called all the occupational therapists in their area, which we know is a challenging endeavor, but just giving them a call, say, do you work with individuals with sensory processing challenges? Yes? Okay, then the next follow-up question is, do you have anybody on the team that would work with a teen or an adult? And hopefully you'll get a, let me get back to you, I'm not sure, or yes, we already have someone that's doing that. And exploring the resources in your area. Unfortunately, sometimes there are no resources in your area, whether you're in a rural community or you're just in an area that's not being served by occupational therapists in general, or specifically sensory processing occupational therapists. there are there's a growing world of resources online. I think there's a lot of different places we can point you, but I think starting to educate yourself is really the first step, and starting to understand yourself or understand the person that you care about can go a long, long way. So Carrie and I are really excited because we've been working really this whole year on developing a webinar that's going to help individuals that have sensory processing challenges who want to try and start working on it on their own, to start to understand, what is this, how does it apply to me, what can I do about it before or even while I'm receiving treatment, how can I work with an OT who maybe is not so comfortable with working with people like me. So that's something that's going to be coming out early in 2018. So definitely be keeping an eye here on Facebook. We'll put the link there, and if you're on our newsletter already, you'll get a link to it there as well. But it's going to be on our SPD University, which is our online education platform. And the webinar itself is going to be designed for individuals with SPD, like I was saying. But I think it's also going to be really helpful for those therapists who are just not sure where to start in this field and thinking about, so I can hear from these individuals with SPD and they can give me some of that rich first-person understanding of what is going to be supportive for an adult with SPD.
Yeah, so this idea really stemmed from the idea, so we offer consultations at STAR. We have an intake on our online page that adults can go to and fill in an intake with your information. We offer phone-based, Skype-based consultations to adults, and what we really wanted to do was to not just have an option of coming out here or driving 2 hours to go to your most local OT. We wanted to be able to provide something for you in your home, at your work, to share with family members that really gives a beginners and then kind of going into beginning strategies for adults with SPD. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. We have worksheets associated with it. We have PowerPoint slides that you can follow along with. And yeah, I just think it's going to be another resource. And what we know is that there just cannot be enough resources for this underserved community. So let us know if you have any questions about that. But like we said, it'll be out at the beginning of 2018. So we're not quite there yet, but we're almost there, and it's very exciting.
And I think the best part of that webinar is that it includes footage from a support group that you and I did.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of discussions that involve individuals with SPD who are going through this process with us. And I think it's going to be really helpful for individuals to see, oh, first of all, I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. That sounds a lot like me. And then second of all, oh, that's a really good idea. I could see how that could apply to me. So that's really our hope and our intention for it. So we're really excited about sharing that with you guys very, very soon.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any questions, if you're an occupational therapist, a psychologist looking to work in this population, or if you're an adult or teen yourself and have any questions for us. We're always happy to answer them.
Thanks, guys.